Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a show where we talk all things relationships.
Yes.
And so we always want to come to you every week giving you tips, advice, tricks. I always say tricks. Just to make things, make your relationships function just a little bit
some
better.
Great enhancements.
Yeah, marriage enhancement. That's what we want to call it. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman.
And I'm Tanya Coleman.
And this is what we do. This is what we're all about. You know, we really believe in marriage. We believe that marriage is the foundation for society. We believe that in order to propel our society forward, in order to, I ain't even going to say that. I was going to say something, but it may offend some people.
Okay.
Anyway, but that's what we're about. We're about marriage. And so, so let's get into today's show. So how's your week been going?
My week was great. It's going well.
Good.
Busy week.
Always.
Busy Saturday today.
Always.
So, yeah. But
Always.
It's good. It's all good.
Now, you've been a chauffeur today.
It's amazing, been a chauffeur today.
when your kids start hitting preteen, it's like you become a chauffeur.
Not even preteen, but that started in elementary school.
Yeah, but it's becoming more now.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
but
you just take them to their next events.
Yep.
But it's all good.
It's all good. That's what we're here for. We're
here
parents.
for.
That's what we do.
Anyway, so our recommendation for this week is something that's coming up we're really excited about.
Yay.
So, we follow this couple on social media. We listen to their podcast. We go to hear them speak. So they've been a huge impact on our lives, on our marriage. And we've never even met them before, but we feel like we know them. And it's Dave and Ashley Willis. And actually, they're going to be here in Moss Bluff, Louisiana, next weekend at First Moss Bluff Church. So you want to give them the information?
I will give you guys the information. It begins next Friday, which is Friday, September 13th. Friday the 13th. Yes. It starts at 6:30 in the evening, which is registration. The session kicks off at 7 o'clock. So registration starts at 6:30. The first session kicks off at 7 o'clock. It looks like they have a couple of sessions that night, a date night, which sounds fun. Not sure what that all entails, but it does sound fun. That starts at 9 that night, and then things will pick up again Saturday morning at 8:30. The doors open, and the next session kicks off at 9. It looks like things will go until about lunchtime, 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then they will conclude Sunday morning. They have the 9 a.m. and 10:30 services that are also a part of the marriage conference. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
A lot of different things going on from the posts that I see on Facebook. You can actually go to the First Moss Bluff website, which is firstmossbluff.com. You can find them on Facebook and actually register. The cost to register for the conference is $50 per couple. Not per person. So that's pretty reasonable.
That's very reasonable. You can't even go out to eat as a couple for $50. It seems like. And here's the thing, guys. We don't have anything to do with this conference.
Not at all. Not even the church. We've
don't
never
even
been
right.
there.
But again, it's all about when we see opportunities to build our relationship.
Right.
Like I always say this, we don't just teach this stuff. We live this stuff.
Right.
And the reason why we're so passionate about it is because we want you to be able, not to say that our relationship is perfect, but, we have a pretty good relationship. And, we were talking about a couple, earlier and just some of the things that they're going through. And, it's just, our heart goes out to any couple who's experienced hard times or difficulties or, you're not firing on all 8 cylinders or what have you. So these are the things that you can do to enhance or to make things better. So next weekend, the maintenance. Yeah, I always say we do maintenance on everything. We do car maintenance, we do house maintenance, we do body maintenance. Right. And I think I've been, slimming down a little bit here. Watch out. Anyway, but we do maintenance on everything. How about maintenance on your marriage?
Absolutely.
You have to maintain.
It's a must.
Because if you don't, it's just like anything else. If you don't maintain your body, it's going to fall apart. If you don't maintain your house, it's going to fall apart. If you don't maintain your car, it's going to fall apart.
Yes,
if you don't maintain your marriage,
it's going to fall apart.
Yep. So this weekend coming, September 13th through the 15th is a great opportunity. If you need more information, like I said, we don't have anything to do with it. But if you need more information, if you can't find the link or the page or whatever, inbox us, call us, and we'll share that information.
Shoot you in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll share that information.
$50 is a great investment for your marriage.
Dave and Ashley Willis, I'm so excited.
I'm super excited.
Hopefully we get a chance to meet them. That would just make my weekend. So it's going to be a great weekend. And before we get into today's topic, amen, praise the Lord. I want to give a shout out. You know, we have some great supporters out there.
We really do.
And one of our number one supporters, we have several, but one of them is Miss Candace Adams.
Miss Candace.
She's always encouraging us and just, just
showing her love, and her support and encouragement.
And so she's teamed up again with Rich Creations.
Yes.
And you can like their Facebook page, Rich Creations LLC. And she got us these awesome mugs. So it's got the Marriage Matters logos. You know, let me see. We can get a little bit closer there. Look at that, man. You can't beat that.
So nice.
So shout out to Miss Candace Adams and Rich Creations.
Thank you guys so much. This means a whole lot to us. So we are coming up, as the girls say, with our Marriage Matters merch.
Yeah.
So eventually we'll be making that available for the public.
Coming soon. Coming soon. Maybe I think I may wear my XO t-shirt next weekend. Maybe Dave will recognize.
I'll shout you out,
got XO's t-shirt. They're part of this, the XO.
Yeah.
Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about a concept that I've heard about, I've read about. And this concept is not only used in marriage, it's used in just any relationship, even like in the workplace. And maybe it's called something a little different, but we want to talk about a love bank.
Yeah.
So I had read this post on Facebook. This is a while back, but when I read this, I was thumbing through a book, His Needs, Her Needs, and I saw they had a chapter on the love bank. But it reminded me of this post, so I want to kind of talk about that today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this post is called the Marriage Box, but you could call it's the Marriage Box Love Bank, same concept. So it says this: most people get married believing in a myth that marriage is a beautiful box full of things they have longed for, such as companionship, intimacy, friendship, etc. The truth is that marriage at the start is an empty box. You must put something in before you can take anything out. There is no love in marriage.
Come on.
All right. So it says there's no love in marriage. Love is in people, and people put love in marriage. There is no romance in marriage. You have to infuse it into your marriage. A couple must learn the art and form the habit of giving, loving, serving, praising, of keeping the box full. If you take out more than you put in, the box will be empty.
Wow.
You know, and so that's the concept of the love bank. And, you know, I don't know, I know I have experience, you know, in the natural banking system where I've taken out more than I've had in.
Sure, yeah.
And I must say the banks, there's a fee attached to that.
Fee attached
so and it's the same thing in your marriage. So, you know, if you're taking out of your marriage more than you're putting in, there's going to be penalties.
Yep.
There's going to be penalties. So let's back up and let's talk about that first statement, because I think that's such a profound statement. There is no love in marriage.
Right. I hear that and I see that so very clearly there, because, and you know, I always describe the marriage as an entity, you know, and so in the beginning, we love one another, but there is no love, and I'll say, in the entity of marriage. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so we have to build that love. We have to sow the seeds of love into the entity of marriage.
Yeah. And I think another thing you could add to that is like a lot of people go into marriage thinking that marriage is the cure for loneliness, or marriage is the cure
that stuck out to me.
For infidelity, or marriage.
Marriage is the cure for.
And here's the deal: we talked about this before on this show, but I'll bring this up again. Is that you can't go, if you go into a marriage broken, expecting that to fix you. You're not gonna. The marriage is not in itself. You can only get out of it what you put into it. Let me put it that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. That's in any relationship.
Yeah.
That's in almost anything that you do in life. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it. So absolutely in marriage, I think like you were saying, oftentimes we go into the marriage and we are expecting for the marriage to do something for us. And a lot of times we don't consider what we need to be doing for the marriage or for the other person that we're married to. So we go in expecting for it to fix all of my stuff I have going on. But that's not the purpose of marriage. Does it happen? It's not the marriage, it's the relationship that helps you through a healing process. But it is not the cure-all. Yeah.
And so, that's so very important. So, you need to take a look at, your marriage, and are you putting in more than you're taking out?
Yeah.
One of the things that I'll read the second part of that is a couple must learn the art and form the habit of giving, loving, serving, praising, and keeping the box full. So it's like learning the art of something. It's learning, we were just watching Serena Williams play, and she lost, but spoiler alert. But
you're not gonna see this till tomorrow.
But it's still though what goes into that,
right? The preparation,
the preparation of an athlete, any professional athlete. They have in order for them to play at that high level, they have to do the workouts. They have to do all the things that it takes to play at that high level. And so it's the same thing with marriage. I like it says the art of marriage. Marriage is an art.
Yeah.
It's not and that's why we say marriage is not a one size fits all thing.
Right.
I was watching another podcast the other day, and one of the people on that podcast says that marriages or relationships were like fingerprints. They're all unique.
Right.
None of them are going to be 100% the same.
Right.
So you have to learn the art of filling your spouse's love tank. Right. And that's why I really love, and we talk about this a lot, I really love the 5 love languages.
Yes, absolutely.
If you haven't read the book or even taken the test, the assessment, I would recommend that, because it's important for you to know how your spouse perceives love. Because here's the deal. You may think that you're filling up the love bank. But if you're not speaking your spouse's love language, then, it's not
right. You're not feeling their love bank or their love
the love
tank.
bank is not being filled.
Right, because you are trying to love them the way you receive love.
Right.
And your spouse may not necessarily receive love that way. So you're putting in all that effort trying to love them the way that you really want to be loved, and their tank is still feeling empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens, when it comes to marriages and relationships is we tend to, like Tanya said, we want to love people the way we love people the way we perceive love.
Right.
And that doesn't always work, in a relationship. So it's very important that you find that out. But you have to learn that. You have to learn what your spouse. So that's why it goes back to, communication. You have to have those conversations with your spouse. What is it, do you like when I do this or and be open and honest,
right.
With your spouse. Because again, if you're not open and honest, if your spouse is doing something and it just really gets under your skin when your spouse does that, and you're not open and honest about it, then your love tank is not only it's just being depleted and depleted and depleted and depleted. And then, you're going to come to a place and I've even heard people say this, I have nothing left to give.
Right.
I have nothing left to give.
Right.
And how do you get to that place? You get to that place because you're not being poured into, And so that's what marriage is all about. Marriage is not about how much you can take. Marriage is all about giving.
Yes.
And again, that's an art that you have to learn.
It's an art and it's a mindset.
Yeah.
So many people go into marriage and go into relationships simply for what they can get out of it. Yeah. We are really can be a selfish people. And so when you go into a marriage just because I know he has a good job and he can take care of me. He's always buying me gifts. She's always been there for me. She helped me, get through college, all these different things, which are all can be great things. But if those are the only superficial reasons that you are getting married because of what this person can do for you and not thinking about how I can serve this person, how I can love this person, how I can enhance this person's life, that is a really empty reason really to get married, and so we have to think about why we get into these marriages, and then down the road we realize that our love tank is empty, or they realize their love tank is empty, and everybody wants out. I believe that any marriage situation can be healed, but we have to do the work. We have to fulfill the love tank. We have to make sure that our motives are right, that our hearts are pure, and that I'm not just in this marriage for what I can get out of it, but what I can give and what you and I can give to the world together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was just thinking here, so in doing that, you have to learn how to put what your wants and your needs. Sometimes you have to put that aside because, like I said, I'm trying. If I'm trying to love Tanya by what I need, then I'm still not meeting her needs.
Right.
So there's been some things, and I don't know why I wait till we're on the show to try to think of an example, but there's been some times
that always makes my heart look. Oh Lord, what is he gonna say?
But there's been some times where I've had to, it's like. It shouldn't take all that, just let me, and I want to tell her, let me love you the way I want to love you, but I can't do that, and I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. I've heard a lot of people talk about, they don't believe in, the like assessments, like the DISC assessment,
right?
All that stuff,
personality test and
right?
All this, yeah.
And the personality test is not the goal of it is not for you to say this is who I am.
Right.
It's
right.
for people interacting with you to understand. If this is how Glenn needs it said to be able to understand or receive.
Right. It's to help other people and not necessarily
help. You. Right. And so I was listening. I had a conversation with someone else, and we're talking about communication. This wasn't in a marriage. This was in like a work situation, and they were talking to one person, and they were like, I don't know what to do on this particular project. So the manager went to the other person and they were like, well, why didn't you tell such and such, or give such and such this person the information they need? And the person who's supposed to be giving the information said, well, I did give the information to him. And he was like, and I think I gave it to him, or I communicated to him in a clear and a concise manner, right? And the point they were missing was this. A lot of times we think that communication and I'm kind of paralleling this to love.
Sure.
A lot of times we think that communication is the act of speaking. And it's not. You haven't communicated until the person on the receiving end understands and comprehends what you were saying.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, and I know I can do that a lot, is I'll say things, because I'm familiar with this process, or I know this process, and I'm trying to explain it to this person, and I'm saying some things, but they're not comprehending. They can't take what I'm saying and produce something.
Right. They don't get it the way that you get it. They don't understand it the way that you understand it. And we have the tendency to just assume that I know this, you should know this, right. I'm telling you this, and why aren't you picking this up?
Right. And so we think that we've done our job at communicating, and it's not, because the ultimate goal of communication is for the other person to be able to act on the information that you're giving them.
Right.
It's the same thing with love. A lot of times we think, we are loving effectively, because what we're doing, we're thinking, in our premarital counseling, one of the things that we asked a couple is, what's more important to you? Is it, getting what you want, or is it saving? And that goes kind of to the love language, a love language in a way. Right. But my point is this: sometimes you may be showering a great example. Here's a great example, and I've learned this with my kids, is you can give kids all the most expensive things, all these things, and they're gonna appreciate that. But what I've learned is that kids spell love Time.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's not even, sometimes, I don't say a lot of, but sometimes it's not even me physically spending time with them. It's just me being here.
Present.
Because I can remember there was a time here recently where I was, it got to the point where I was gone maybe 4 or 5 nights a week, just doing, things at church and meetings, and both the girls were like, "Daddy, you're never home anymore." And again, for them, me being here, in other words, they were saying, "We appreciate you working hard."
Right.
And and I don't know, some of you may be going through, you're working overtime or doing all these things, but that may not be what your spouse wants. They're saying, "I would rather have you than to have the vacation or whatever it is." So, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but what I am saying is you have to make sure that you're communicating in the same, or you're loving in the same language that your spouse needs to be loved in. Because again, going back to the love bank, you can be doing all this stuff and working hard, and your spouse still doesn't feel love. And then you're sitting back saying, "Well, what do you mean you don't feel love?" Right. I mean, all the things that I'm doing for you, and I'm working hard for you, and I'm doing all this for you.
What about the vacation home? What about the new house, the new car?
And they're saying, I mean, all that's great, but that's not what I want.
Right. That's not what I need.
That's not what I need. That's good.
That's not what I need. My needs may be that I need your presence. My needs may be that I need time with you. My needs may be that we don't have real conversations, and I need real conversations. Forget talking about the bills and what the kids did at school this week. No, I need real, in-depth, vulnerable conversations with my spouse. And for a lot of people, that's a scary thing. And so, which is kind of funny, because, the vulnerable conversation that your spouse may need is the conversations that will keep their love tank or their love box full. But when you're afraid to have those conversations, eventually you will have some other conversations that won't be good, and you find yourself on the outside of that love box altogether. So we have to be very mindful of our spouse's love languages, their needs, and communicating, and not be afraid to have those big conversations.
So in wrapping this up, and I know we don't want to make any generalizations here, but from a woman's perspective, what do you think? What would you say is the number one need of a woman? So if I'm wanting to keep your love tank full, what is the number one need from a woman's perspective? What would you say that is?
A woman's number one need, I believe, is security. And I know a lot of people go straight to financial security when I say that, but no, the number one need for security is more related to knowing that you're in this with me for the long haul, knowing that you love me, and me only, that, I mean, seriously, that kind of security, knowing that I can come and I can pour my heart and my soul out to you, and you're going to embrace me, and you're going to comfort me, and you're going to just be there. That type of security. And I think a lot of times even some women don't really realize that that's the level of security that they need. They feel like it's the house, it's the car, it's the money in the bank, and all those things are needed and they're great, but it's much more deeper than that. So that would be my response. And I can't speak for every woman that may watch this video, but I can speak for myself and from experiences and conversations that I've had in my life. Okay.
And so for men, I would say that the number one need for men is to be respected.
Yeah.
And it really, when you look at, even the Bible speaks to this in Ephesians chapter 5, when it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church and gave himself for her. Then it says, wives, submit yourselves. And the word submit there doesn't mean just do what he says. The word means more, it's more respect.
Yep.
Respect his position in the family more than anything.
And the give on the man's part, sorry, not to cut you off, is that security.
Wait, say that again?
The give, and when it says to give yourselves, it is that security. Yeah.
So, it's make sure that, you're finding those things out about your spouse. And I'll mention this, and we're gonna do a show on these two books, but the For Men Only, For Women Only books, I mean, I found out some things in there because you had made a statement. You said sometimes you may not know what you need. So I think this is a great resource, because even when I read the For Women Only book, I read it. The For Women Only book is a book about men for women, but I read that book and I saw some things in there that I was like, wow, so that's why I act that way when she does this, and that's why. And so if you know all those things, then you could even help your spouse to, you can teach your spouse how to love you. You love you properly. And as a man now reading the For Men Only book, which is a book about women for men, I now know how to. And again, these books are just generalizations. They're not, like we said, every marriage is different. But I think it's a great tool to give you a launching point. So we've given you a lot of tools. Yeah. And that, again, that's what we're all about. We just want to give you some things that are going to enhance. So
some resources.
The For Men Only, For Women Only books. And we talked also about the marriage conference this weekend.
Yes.
So don't forget about that. September 13th through the 15th at First Moss Bluff in Moss Bluff, Louisiana. Dave and Ashley Willis, phenomenal couple. So you got anything else?
No, I really don't. This is good.
So keep fill up the love box. And this is the other thing. The love bank, love box, love tank, whatever you want to call it. But don't worry about how much. So don't look at how much Tanya's filling up I'm not going to worry about how much Tanya's filling up my tank.
Right, that's good.
I'm going to get busy with filling up her tank.
That's right.
And if the more you do that, I guarantee you eventually, not to say she's not filling up, but I'm saying if you're in a situation where you feel like, my tank's not being filled, well, don't worry about that. You just keep filling his tank or her tank. Right. Okay. So in closing, we do always want to remind you guys about, you can contact us. You can email us, with questions, comments, show topics, things that you would like us to talk about, or if just questions that you have that we could just help you with. Our email address is info@marriagematterstous.com. That's info@marriagematterstous.com. Or you can send us a text message at 337-415-9535. That's 337-415-9535. And like I said, you can send us show topics, questions, You will remain anonymous unless otherwise specified. And always remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Marriage Matters 0526. At Marriage Matters 0526. And always remember to subscribe to the YouTube page.
Yes.
And when you subscribe to the YouTube page, remember to click the little bell next to subscribe, and then you'll get an alert every time we post a video. Yes. And remember, hey, share. Thank you guys so much for sharing these videos, commenting on the videos. What we want to do, the word community. Yeah. I've just been hearing that word everywhere, community. So what we want to do is create a community of people doing life together, helping each other out, giving each other advice, and just taking on life together.
Yes.
So that's what this is all about. So I always say, join the conversation and join the community. And remember, your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.